Welcome to K9000's Sci-Fi Station.
Okay, so after listening to Big Finish audio productions about the Time War, I've been thinking a lot about the Daleks and the Time Lords and the Time War itself. I've been thinking about that moment with Tom Baker where he could have touched the two wires together and destroyed the Daleks forever, have stopped them. And he held the wires and he said, "Do I have the right?" Well, there was an episode not so long ago during Capaldi's run called The Magician's Apprentice. And more or less as soon as the episode had finished airing, people started saying, but the Doctor can't and won't kill Davros. We have all already seen him say he doesn't have the right to use his powers to commit genocide, and if he killed Davros, then he'd be killing the Daleks. Now, there are all kinds of business and financially related reasons which make it pretty much concrete that the Daleks will never permanently go away. But for the purpose of this, I'm not going to get into that side of things. I want to discuss the idea that the Doctor is a consistently changing and evolving character. Just because he might do something now that he wouldn't have done as the fourth Doctor, as Tom Baker's Doctor, doesn't make him any less the Doctor. He's much older and suffered a lot more and seen a lot more of what Davros is capable of. He can also change his mind or rethink things. To this end, I want to look at all of the Doctors who met Davros, or at least have existed after he was introduced. Tom Baker's Doctor, the fourth, had the best chance to kill the Daleks. All he had to do was touch two wires together and it would have been the end of the Daleks, but he didn't do it. He didn't feel that he had the right to do it. In truth, you can say we knew he wouldn't do it for the fact that your average person looks at the Daleks as the Doctor's main enemy. The one everyone remembers. Still, in that cliffhanger when Tom Baker explained that all he had to do was touch these wires as he questioned if he had the right or not, he really sold the moment. People tend to look back and just go, oh yes, he said he didn't have the right. But if you watch it back, it isn't quite that plain. The Doctor is asking himself if he has the right. He's mulling it over. What will happen if he does it? What will happen if he doesn't? And what will it make him? From here we've had the fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, a Doctor who really was one of the most underconfident, unsure and peace-loving Doctors. And he turned up with a laser gun in his hand and told Davros he'd arrived as his executioner. He didn't quite manage to pull the trigger, but this was partly down to his self-doubt and to Davros helping spread enough doubt in the Doctor's mind to keep his finger from the trigger long enough. Still, I don't think really, despite grandiose entrances and holding a gun, I think whatever happened, the fifth Doctor is a hard Doctor to see as a killer. The sixth Doctor, Colin Baker, allowed a rival faction of Daleks he believed would kill Davros to take Davros prisoner. This Doctor was also shown on camera knocking a man into acid and kicking someone in the head so they fell down a manhole and broke their neck. He also shot Cybermen, so I say he could do it. It seems he would prefer for someone else to do the dirty work and keep his conscience a little cleaner, but I think push come to shove, the sixth Doctor could have pulled the trigger, could have killed Davros. It just falls within his personality. As for the seventh Doctor, well, he may have started out as a bit of a clown, but as time went on he proved himself to have both a mind full of plots and somewhat of a dark side. This Doctor reprogrammed the Hand of Omega, an interstellar device, so that it was launched by Davros as a weapon. It would blow up Skaro, knowing full well that the resulting feedback would destroy Davros' ship, most likely killing all on board. When Davros begged for pity, the Doctor said he had pity for him and left him for dead. Sure, Davros escaped, but the Doctor didn't know that, and was happy enough thinking that he, if not killed Davros, at least had a hand in his death. He also logically talked what he believed to be the very last Dalek in existence into committing suicide. Now, whether the man, or the Doctor in this case, would have been able to kill Davros in cold blood or exterminate all of the Daleks through pressing the button himself, I don't know, but you can at least say that he'd be more than willing to help set into action movements which would allow for the result of the death of the Daleks and the death of Davros. The next few Doctors I'll be a touch briefer on because some of them never even got to meet Davros, at least not on the TV screen. Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor, never met him, on TV at least, but I have to admit I'd have a hard time imagining the Doctor that we saw in the TV movie and that you can listen to thanks to Big Finish wanting to kill Davros. However, apparently there is a Big Finish audio which shows that when pushed far enough by Davros, he does have the ability to sell Davros out to others that he believes will get him out of the way. I think the War Doctor would obviously have been able to destroy Davros. You know, we've seen him fire guns. And I feel that the rage shown by Dr. 9 tells me that without somebody there to tell him why he shouldn't, I think he could tip over the edge and he could kill Davros or eliminate the Daleks. Let's face it, without Rose, he was happy to kill what he thought was the last Dalek, the last of his species. I'm sure he would have tortured himself afterwards, as this seems very much his thing, but I think he could do it. David Tennant's Doctor, well, we saw him try to get Davros to come with him, rather than die. So I guess that speaks for 10. He was also somewhat displeased with his half-human clone for his part in trying to destroy the Daleks. Matt Smith's Doctor never met him, but again I feel he wouldn't have it in him to kill Davros. Yes, he was shown as capable of going to war and of calling in favours, but look at, for example, Colonel Runaway. I think this Doctor would want to try to stop Davros without killing him. I do feel that, as with all of my other opinions and statements, this one is very open to questioning. So to me, that's 4 Doctors I feel could kill Davros and 5 I feel couldn't. Now, the Capaldi Doctor had all of these inside of him, and yet is also very much his own person. To give Capaldi some credit, you know, it's a child Davros he sees, which obviously I think if you talk about a lot of the Doctors I've said would happily try to kill Davros, or who got halfway there, they'd have had a much harder time if they'd have been met with a childhood version of Davros. Personally, and I know this is, you know, if they do this it ruins the story, but if I was the Doctor and I had met little Davros, I would have just taken him somewhere nice. Give the kid a nice life in a happy place filled with love and see if he turns out different. Worst case scenario, take him somewhere where the most destructive thing technology-wise he could build would be a catapult. But yeah, again, if you did this though, there wouldn't be much story. But the very fact that people like me can discuss what they would do at any point in the Doctor's shoes shows how much we connect with the show and how much it has entertained us and sparks our imagination. And I'm not going to touch on the Jodie Whittaker Doctor, because in fairness I'm not a very big fan. Now, I'm not saying this because I know I'll get labelled with the sexist brush or the... I don't really rate her as a Doctor. To me, she comes across as a female impersonation of the David Tennant Doctor. And there's just lots of other people I would have cast in the role. Yes, all of the Doctors to some extent do kind of connect and call back to older ones. You see glimmers of them in them. But to me, she's just a rehash of David Tennant, with even more annoying catchphrases like calling her companions her fam and stuff. So I'll leave that there. That's Kerr9000 signing off, saying wherever you are, whenever you are, wherever you are, keep on keeping on.